So during the third part here, we're going to talk about leverage. Danny, when you say leverage, what do we really mean here?
Yeah, sure. So I believe Archimedes said that if you give me a lever long enough, I can move the world. And leverage is essentially what separates entrepreneurs from employees. Employees have no leverage. They trade their time for money, whether it's physical work, whether it's work they have a degree for. They have a very, very minimal amount of leverage. Entrepreneurs have a responsibility to themselves, to their company, to their customers, to bake in as much leverage into their business as possible. Whether it's in the marketing systems, whether it's in the product that they deliver, we always have to strive to excel and push the envelope further. Because we want to do better and better and better, because we always have to deal with competition, but most importantly, we have to compete against ourselves. So it's really about identifying where can the process be improved, where can the system be improved, and what can I do to create more leverage in this area. It could be installing software. You know, if we have a problem, like if one really good way to identify where you can build in leverage and is to look at problems as opportunities. And to do this, all you have to do is ask why. And there's a technique I mentioned in the book. It's called the 5 whys technique. So if something's like causing stress, if there's something going awry in the business, ask why. Like, you know, if I'm having trouble scheduling interviews, for example, maybe it's because I'm not good at this area. Maybe I need to install a scheduling app. Maybe I need to get an assistant. And leverage is really, it comes back to that concept of getting the best results for the least amount of effort possible.
Right.
And I like to call these hacks, because the 3 books I've written since Buy Your Own Island all focus on hacks. So, for example, I mean, if I can give an example of leverage, we'll go back to working out, because for years I spent 5-6 days a week working out, exercising, maybe going to the gym, working a different body part, and I kind of hit this plateau where I wasn't making progress, and then I kind of stepped back, and instead I did 1 workout per week and did it the right way, and focused on my diet well enough that I was able to make huge gains, and I gained about 15 pounds of muscle.
Yeah. And
really hit my sweet spot. So another example might be if you have 3 employees who are licking envelopes, for example, and sealing them, and you only have 1 employee who's stamping envelopes, it doesn't matter how fast those 3 employees are sealing the envelopes, because you have only 1 employee who's putting the stamps on them. So that's a bottleneck. That's an example of a potential problem where you need to kind of create more leverage. So whether it's adding another employee to stamp the envelopes because they're piling up, or whether you can get software that can do it for you, that's another chance to build leverage into the process. So there's a certain point where doing more in one area is not going to create better results, but rather focusing on another area and either streamlining it or systemizing it so that you can get the desired result faster, cheaper, better quality, then you really hit the sweet spot.
Yeah, and it's so great how you tied all that back in, because really, leverage is, it goes back to the first 2 things, being, a lazy programmer, finding, templates and everything, creating systems around it, and then in the end, figuring out places where you can, leverage things differently. I loved the envelopes and the licking stamp example. The example that comes to my mind, it kind of is that lever long enough to lift the world. If you've got a 1,000-pound boulder, and you've got a 2-foot teeter-totter, unless you're Hercules, you're not going to be able to push that teeter-totter down and get that boulder up, even though you have some leverage. But if you change the way you approach it, i.e. make a bigger lever or put more people on or do something else, you change the way you approach it, then you'll be able to solve the issue. And I think that, to me, it sounds like that's really the core of the leverage discussion, which is changing your approach to solving a problem you have. If the problem isn't getting solved the way you're doing it, change your approach and do something different, whether it's building leverage or doing something different to solve the problem, right?
Yeah, and if I can also add to that too, I think leverage is what creates opportunities, opportunities to excel. And Paul Buchheit, he's the creator of Gmail. He said that hacking, we're talking about hacks here, hacking is much bigger than clever bits of code in a computer. It's how we create the future. And if you look at the history of mankind, all of the development, all of the progress came from leverage. When we discovered that, in ancient Egypt, people were moving stones with like ropes and it was horribly inefficient. So all of the progress that happened over the span of human history came as a result of leverage, and it's the responsibility of entrepreneurs to find that leverage, to discover it, because we're operating in these complex and chaotic realms where there is no textbook for what we're doing. We have to find something new. We have to find those leverage points, and that's where the competitive advantage comes from.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because the other thing I think about leverage, there was, I know being a worldwide digital nomad, you're not watching a lot of TV because you're living the lifestyle. But there was a TV show here in America called Leverage. And the funny thing is, part of what I think of when I think of leverage, I hate to say it is blackmail, but if you think about it, it's all about having the power to change things for good or for bad. To find that one switch that, as they say, little hinges swing big doors. So, you just find that one thing to make that massive shift, that massive shift or that massive change in your, in your business and in your life. And while we know everything is progressive, if you watch the beginning of the show with Danny's hero's journey, if you didn't, you go back and watch it now. But if you did, you realize that everything builds on each other. It's not necessarily that one moment. But in a lot of cases, when you hit leverage and you can find that leverage, it's amazing what happens when you can use that leverage to change things and to really up your game, or to change, just to change the game. Especially if you want to create a 10-hour-a-week, lifestyle business. Especially as a coach, we have a lot of coaches who watch the show, and as a coach, you really need to be quote unquote a lazy programmer, like we talked about it. Whether it's with contracts, whether it's with websites, you need to be able to create systems, and you need to use the leverage that you got to to make things successful. So before we wrap it up, and before I tell everybody what we need them to do next, Danny, I've got a quick question for you. You referenced your book a couple of times. I want to make sure, is the book you were looking at, the new book you and I talked about, is upcoming, or is it from a book they can buy, or is it from that book I'm about to tell everybody to go get a free copy of? Where does it fall?
At the moment, I have 4 books available on Amazon. Buy Your Own Island, which is the first one I wrote, which I mentioned. And then I have 3 other books which focus on hacks. The last book I wrote is a book on hacking email. So it's basically like a systemized process for email outreach so that you can promote your business, your brand, your book, what have you. And the book that I'm working on currently is a book on sleep hacking. So basically it's my own personal quest to overcome my almost lifelong persistent sleeping problems.
And that's gonna be an epic book to read. We've got one more question. We're about to offer everybody a free copy of Buy Your Own Island. when you talked about lazy programmer and creating systems and I believe leverage, you kind of referenced, you were looking back a little bit of notes in your book. I just want to know, is it in Buy Your Own Island or is it in one of your other books? I want our audience to hear this, because if it's in one of your other books, I want them to buy your books. So the stuff we were talking about, lazy programmer, creating systems and leverage, is it in Buy Your Own Island or is it in the other books that you've got out there?
You can go to section 3 of the book Buy Your Own Island, and that is on. It starts on. I don't know about the movie book, but it's page 151 of the PDF, and that focuses on how to build a location-independent business, how to build a lifestyle business, and really identifying the core characteristics, common characteristics of successful location-independent entrepreneurs, and really focusing on that and learning how you can build a business the same way. As far as the other books, my second book is if you are keen to freelancing, earning active income through freelancing. It's a book on how to acquire customers through online portals such as Upwork, which is a freelancing platform, and to acquire high-paying clients. My fourth book is called Hack Email, which is also very instructive if you want to kind of succeed in the online game, at least today's online game, is the way it's evolving.
Excellent. So here we go, buyyourowisland.com/audiobook. I've been talking about this for the last couple of minutes, so there we've got the link on the screen. You can head out there. Yeah, audio dash book. The good news, I'm sorry, I had to swallow. The good news is it's on the screen, so when I mispronounce everything, at least they can see it. So for those of you who come back. If you're not watching, look on the screen. But head over to the link on the screen, and you'll be able to download a free copy of Buy Your Own Island. Today we've been talking to our epic guest, Danny Flood, who's created a 10-hour-a-week lifestyle business. He's traveled the world, been in over 30 countries, coming to us live today from Bangkok, that great old Oriental city. I'm not going to sing the song, but for those of you who grew up in the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. Danny, you've been an epic guest today. We've talked about your hero's journey. We've talked about being a lazy programmer and creating systems and using leverage. I want everybody to go out, go download the copy of the book, buy Danny's other books, do whatever you can, get to know this guy. Danny, real quick before I wrap up and roll the credits, any last words of wisdom you want to leave with our audience today?
No, I don't. If you want to get in touch with me, go visit my blog as well, openworldmag.com. I have a podcast as well. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Facebook. You can look me up, Danny Flood, or email me at danny@openworldmag.com. And if you use the concepts that I talk about in my my fourth book, Hack Email, then you're more likely to get a good result from me.
Epic. Well, once again, Danny, thank you for being epic guest today. For all you viewers, thank you for being epic viewers and watching today. And until next time, make it an epic day.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now. You'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.